Well, hello, my name's Louise Harrington and I have the pleasure of bringing you this week's Midweek Message, which is a first for me in these 8 or so weeks since lockdown. Now, what I want to reflect on today is marriage. Now, that may have piqued your interest. Maybe you're wondering what insight you might get into Phil and my marriage now. I'd encourage you to, whether you're married or not, just have a listen and reflect. So my reflection starts a few weeks ago when during one of these midweek messages, Phil gave a message about what is your legacy of lockdown. And I'm a bit embarrassed to say I found that really hard, that message. I think I was at a particularly low point when that came out, of just struggling with lockdown, struggling with juggling work and children and lots of different challenges, like so many of us out there. And I railed against it a bit. Lockdown legacy? If we all get out of this still married and alive, we'll be doing well. I'm not going to read a book. So I got probably a bit too dramatic, but over it, and a bit angsty, I suppose. And I think in those moments, God often uses those moments when you get a little bit angsty about something. When I get a bit angsty about something, it's God trying to tell me something, and maybe I need to listen. But as is so often the way, it was through my home group and their wisdom and their encouragement that what God was trying to say to me was revealed. And one of the members of our home group shared how she'd found that message really encouraging, and how it had really spurred her on in her Bible reading and her relationship with God, and her prayer life. And I felt quite ashamed. And I suppose I just spent some time thinking and talking to God, praying to God, what could this be? I don't think I'm going to have a lockdown legacy of some marvellous record of homeschooling or some marvellous new build project in the garden, but actually, what could this be? And I felt God say to me, and it was very personal, but I don't just want you to survive this season. I want you to thrive. And specifically, I want your marriage to thrive in this season. But that, Louise, isn't just going to happen. What are you going to do about it? And so to summarise, we've invested some time in the Care for the Family marriage course. Not because our marriage was in a desperately awful place, or because there were any major concerns, but actually that maybe our lockdown legacy could be that our marriage is even better at the end than it was at the beginning. So we've been doing the Care for the Family marriage course, and there should be a link that comes up on the screen now as to how to access that. It's just 4 1-hour sessions released. So we've just done them weekly, 1 hour a week. And it's quite similar if you've done the Alpha the HTB marriage course, quite similar, but probably a bit shorter, maybe slightly more accessible. And we've just carved out the time and committed to those sessions, and we've done 2 so far. The first was on cherish, that vow in the marriage vows, that to love and to cherish, and what does that look like? And the second one that we did this week was on connect. The two following are collaborate and commit. And we're really enjoying just being able to carve out that time and invest in our marriage. Now, I'd really encourage you to do the same. Whether your marriage is in a desperate place, whether it's in a wonderful place, or any state in between, how great would it be that if you could say at the end of this lockdown period that you and your spouse chose to invest in your marriage. Just as we hear about kind of divorce rates spiking in the Far East as a result of lockdown easing, how much better would it be if we could say, our marriage is stronger as a result of this. But friends, that just doesn't, in my experience anyway, doesn't just happen, and we need to invest some time. So can I just encourage you to have a think about this course? It won't be for everybody, but it might be for you, and I'd really encourage you to consider it over the next few weeks and just spend an hour a week investing together, you and your spouse, in your marriage. Thank you.